Hey yo, what is up? I got two absolutely insane tanks showing up on the Russian server. This one is the tier 8 premium called the Object 156O, and the other one is called the XT130. Now both of these are premium tanks and they're both flamethrowers. Yes, the flamethrowers are finally here, and it looks like the RU server is going to lead the way with this new innovation, a new product, a new game mechanics. You're looking at the XT130 now. This one is the tier 2, which is a premium tank. This is probably going to be some kind of gift tank, token tank, and I've got gameplay video for you guys as well. Of course, the RU server is leading the way. No other server will have the flamethrower mechanic or the flamethrower tanks, but who knows in the future. If it does well on the RU server, I can almost guarantee you they will release this on the rest of the world. Starting with the tier 2 gameplay, this thing looks absolutely hilarious. This tank, as you can see, as the enemy was driving by, it was doing a lot of damage. So if you're shooting any kind of tank on the sides or on the back where there is less armor, you're gonna do a lot more damage. But frontally, as you can see here, it's doing a little bit less damage. But a caveat here, you can shoot over a rock, and that's because when you are firing flamethrowers, you are basically firing the liquid projectile over, in an arc, basically, something like an artillery piece. In fact, the aiming mechanism, when you go into first-person shooting and third-person shooting, you can actually have the artillery sniper aim, where you can shoot over like this. What you're looking at here is the kind of like a sniper kind of aim. This is the tier 8 Object 156, and it has an arc trajectory, which means artillery sniper view is in play. This thing is very interesting that way. So the Object 156 has 1200 hit points with a 700 horsepower engine and power to weight ratio of 21.64. This is a very agile, very mobile, kind of like a medium to light tank kind of mobility performance. And as you can tell, this thing has no problem at all dealing with any kind of situations where you need mobility to get out of difficult situations. In my opinion, I think the tier 2 is more crazy and more fun to play with, just because in tier 2s you don't get a lot of very good players or experienced players that know how to deal with a new kind of mechanic, and with the flamethrower mechanic where you can shoot over rocks, and basically you can shoot at your enemies under cover when you are using terrain to stay under the guns of the enemy, and you can still fire at them. This is the most interesting part of playing the flamethrowers, but you do notice that the flamethrowers do not do a lot of damage, especially if it's frontally. The key to success is trying to get the sides of your enemies, and in tier 8 it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be something easy to do in the way the game is played nowadays. You don't get a lot of chances to flank, especially in close ranges. This tank only does the flames only go to about 150 meters, so you do need to get some close distance, and you want to try and get side shots on your enemies. Frontal shots like this do very little damage to your enemies unless they have very poor armor. If you notice, the tank also has a 3-shot auto-loading magazine. It takes about 20 seconds on this tank in particular. but I suppose these stats will change depending on what kind of tank and what kind of tier they're in. This one, 3 shells auto loading. Intra clip is 4 seconds, so after you fire your first shots and your second shot will take about 4 seconds to reload. It says it has 30 shots in a drum, so I suppose each shell represents 10 shells or 10 canisters of fuel or whatever, because you can clearly see there are 3 shells in the autoloader, and it says that there are 30 shells in a drum, so it's going to be 10 canisters per shell or something. You know, it's too early for me to completely dissect it and understand completely what they mean by it, but from what I'm seeing in the gameplay, it looks like there's 3 shells and each shell has something like 10 canisters or 10 fuel canisters in those shells, and that's how you get the flames firing for so long. It says the penetration is 85 millimeters, so if you have less than 85 millimeters of frontal armor, then you're gonna be really taking heavy damage. But if you have more than 85 millimeters of frontal armor on your turret or on your hull, you're going to take minimal damage, maybe something like HE damage, splash damage or something like that. The velocity of the flames is 80 meters per second. In the tier 2, of course, it's going to be a lot slower shell velocity or flame velocity, I'm not too sure. OS damage is the OS is what they're calling the fuel, or the, you know, if we use AP as shells or APCR as a shell, OS is what they are calling the fuel that is doing damage to the tanks. So that is my understanding of what OS is. And after you are shot from the flamethrowers, you are stunned for 15 seconds. I'm assuming that the amount of stun also decreases like HE shells. If you have been stunned and then you're going to get stunned for a second time, the amount of stun is going to be shorter. You have about 13% camouflage values and 390 view range, 390 meters of view range with the Object 156. Hope you get enough information, and we will see you on the next video. Bye bye.